Okay, I see blinking.
Hello, people. We are here on
Hello.
Incantations and Elixirs, where conversation meets cocktails. I'm Maureen Grodzinski, your host, with my co-host,
Anthony Simonelli, how you doing?
Mr. Forget About It. Tonight,
Hey.
we are here with an amazing woman, one of our good friends, Terry Hopper. I'm going to bring her on so she can introduce herself. Here she is, Terry Hopper.
Hello, how
Hey,
are you guys?
what's up, Carrie? How you doing?
Hi. Good, how are you?
We're
Hey,
so
good.
good. I'm so excited to have
Good
you,
seeing you.
Terry.
Thank you. I'm
So
so glad
you
to
want
be
to?
Yeah.
here.
We're happy to have you here.
I texted today. I said I'm ready tonight. We're ready tonight to pick your brain. So have your brains picked.
Good luck.
I see. Terry, can you
Not a
see
lot
the
going on up
comments?
here.
Terry, can you see the comments?
Let me see.
So how
Yes.
you doing, Carrie?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Yeah,
Very
good.
good.
Anthony, I
So,
haven't seen you since Trans-Allegheny.
oh,
No, we see each other at Gettysburg.
Oh, Gettysburg. That's right.
We hung
That's
out.
right.
We went to dinner and everything.
That's right.
All
See,
of
I
us
told
went to
you there's
dinner.
not a lot going on up here. I don't.
Well, for us,
well,
it's
now there's
down
something
there.
going on.
Yeah. Now
We're going
we
to talk
got you
through each
on.
other all night.
Yay. I know. I'm excited.
So
Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So first and foremost, I am the co-host and executive producer of History of a Haunting podcast. My
it's
co-host
a good
Laura.
podcast.
Thank you. Laura is my co-host, and she is actually she took her son up on a vacation to Northern Arizona, and they left today.
Nice.
So
Everybody's in
otherwise she would have been
Arizona.
on here with
Yes.
me. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, essentially our podcast is we sit around, we have some drinks, and we talk about some of the most famous, infamous, and almost famous locations around the world and why they became terrifying places to visit. Laura does a
And
deep dive
serial
into
killers.
and serial killers. We're big fan of those.
My favorite.
And so she does the history portion of the location, and then I do the hauntings, and we just kind of chat about it. And yeah, so we're also both paranormal investigators, so we go and investigate these locations as well. So we have the firsthand knowledge of the hauntings and things like that. So yeah, I am also an ordained minister and an evidential medium. And what else? Yeah, I own two businesses. I have an artistry business, Words Are Hard Artistry, and my family and I just opened up an online pet care essentials store called Round of a Paws Shop. So we're excited about that. We had a
Nice.
grand opening Sunday. So yeah, we're brand new.
Fill us in about
Awesome.
all the little perks behind that, because there's a really cool part of this that I love so much.
So with us, with Round of a Paws Shop, we stress heavily that shipping is always free. And then we also have our give back program is through is we support Pets for Vets. And essentially what they do is they pair our nation's military veterans with trained rescue animals. So a lot of times our troops come back with some form of PTSD. And I think they said about 20% come back with some form of PTSD. And a lot of times that makes it really difficult for them to transition back into civilian life. Meanwhile, there's about 6.5 million dogs and cats that enter our country's shelters every year. And about 1.5 million of those are euthanized. So Pets for Vets is the bridge that brings both of them together to give them both new beginnings. So it's a really amazing organization, and we make monthly donations to them as part of our give back program. So we're pretty excited about that too.
Yeah. Well, later on. Give us some info, so maybe some people in an audience might want to donate. You know.
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that'd be cool. That's cool. Is
For sure.
there something how animals their connection to us, and we think we own pets? No, we're
No.
their pets. They
Right.
own us. I know my dog picked me. You know,
Yes.
she was in the pound, and she's looking up at me, and it's like, hey, let me check that one out. And all the other ones are all these little cute things. And I got a Dachshund, one of those little hot dogs, a mini.
Yeah.
And she looked up at me, and all these little white dogs and furry and all this. So people are like, oh, let me check it. Everybody's holding this dog. And I said, let me have her. I grabbed her. So I'm holding her, and she just put her head on my shoulder. Like,
yeah.
It was like, and my wife goes, she just picked us. I said, I think
I'll
so.
take these humans, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so it's something how we connect with animals, our souls, our spirits, and everything. It's like,
Yeah,
so it's something.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's really wonderful. And we had actually researched, because we knew when we were thinking about opening the shop, we knew we wanted to have a give back program. So we researched a lot of different nonprofit organizations, and Pets for Vets just spoke loudly to our hearts, and we were like, "This is
I'm always for the vets.
Yeah,
vets, not the veterinarians too that take care of it.
Right.
You got the vets. You got vets for vets. But my father was a veteran. He was in the Korean War, and he had to force. His head was never straight after that, and and we it was. I growing up, I said we got older, he got worse. With the drinking and everything else. So, I understand what's needed, and to get them back to back to real life.
Yeah, it's the animals. Not only is the veteran providing these animals who are waiting in shelters for a forever home, they're providing them with the safety of a loving home, but the animals are also providing the veteran with unconditional love, support, easing their loneliness, their depression, their anxiety, so it's such a mutually beneficial relationship. And what this organization is doing is really, really quite tremendous.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
so later on, leave some information on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you said you're an ordained minister,
yes.
which I love. I am as well. But I did become one because I couldn't perform marriages in all the states. I could only do it in the state of Pennsylvania. So I thought, I want to do this everywhere. So I did that also. And I think it's cool. I love that you do that.
Yeah, it's, I got it. I became ordained largely for the paranormal investigation side of it. I wanted to be able to, especially with the private residence cases that, we were getting, I wanted to be able to help, bless the home, cleanse the homes, if that's what was required. So, and then, honestly, just a little, added layer of protection, I think, to be able to go in and be able to say a prayer and do all of that. But primarily that's for the paranormal investigations is why I became ordained. Yeah.
That was just kind of like an extra layer for me on top of everything
else. One of my friends is getting married in 2024 and has asked me to officiate her wedding. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, that's great. I'll totally do it.
Yeah, you probably never even thought of it.
Never did. No.
It's a really cool thing because I always compare it to working at like Disney World. It's the only job that people aren't pissed off at you.
Right.
It's one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
So what made you think of doing like a history of a haunting?
Well, you know what? Laura actually had been listening to podcasts for years and she recommended a bunch to me. And it wasn't really until 2019 that I actually started listening to podcasts. And then started mostly true crime, and then started weaving into the paranormal. And I thought, you know what, we can do this.
Yeah.
So I called my friend Archie up one night, and I was like, "Hey, you know what we should do? We should start a podcast." And he's like, "How drunk are you?" And I said, "Well, a little, but that doesn't mean it's not a good idea." So we started. So he's like, "Okay, I'm glad, sure." So Archie and I started History of a Haunting in 2019. And then just over time, we brought Laura on board as sort of our resident skeptic. And Archie did the history and Laura was just kind of there to hear the stories and kind of give us her opinion. And then Archie wanted to take a step back, so Laura just stepped in and filled his shoes with that. So, but really, it was just, you know what, I could do this. That was really what it came down to. And I love the paranormal, and I always have. So it was really a no-brainer that the paranormal was the genre we were gonna do. So
it started off with the murder cases, and then it moved on.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I've got a lot of podcasts that I listen to that I really love, and That's Why We Drink is one of my favorite ones, where one tells a true crime story, one tells a paranormal story. And I just love the dynamic of like relationships like that, where it's just people having a conversation. And that's what a lot of our listeners tell us, is that they feel like they're sitting down with friends chatting about their favorite haunted locations, which is the highest compliment that we've ever gotten. So,
and I think that a lot of our watchers or listeners have told us that they love coming to sit and listen to the stories as well. And that's when we have most of our viewers show up, when it's a lot of, ghostly stories. Sure. I think you answered Ron's question as well. He said, Carrie, what is the strangest case? Well, maybe the strangest case. You said
the strangest case, as far as a paranormal investigation, aside from like the iconic places that I've been to, like Trans-Allegheny and the famous places, we did do private residence case where the majority of the activity started from the neighbor. The neighbor was into occult type stuff and inadvertently opened up a portal in the basement of this home. And it was the most uncomfortable house I had ever been in my entire life. And fortunately, Chris and Audra, that was when we had Southern Entities. And Chris was really instrumental in being able to, the three of us work together to really find out where this was coming from and how it began and how to end it. So I think that was probably the strangest one, simply because it largely wasn't something the family had done. It was something that this neighbor had started that was fixated on the homeowner. And it was, so that was certainly a new experience for me, realizing that you might be, just kind of doing your thing and like living your happy, normal life. But if you have somebody in your not immediate circle, but around you, that they could bring this kind of stuff. Like it wasn't anything I'd ever encountered before. So it was a really good learning experience, but that was probably the strangest case that I've had so far. So
I've learned that you don't have to have someone who passed away in your home. It doesn't have to be on your property. It doesn't even have to be within a small distance. It could be, a couple of miles away, because if you are an empath or you're a psychic medium, or if you're, whatever kind of abilities you have, you can be drawing them in, like I call it, as like a beacon. You could be pulling them towards you because they're trying to get a message to you, or you could be, they could be trying to get a message out, or they could be wanting to cross over and they don't know how, or, whatever the case may be. So if that person was doing occult things within your area, they could have fixated on that person because they were weak and they had, an addiction problem, or they had an illness and it was breaking them down. They were, possibly having this attachment to them because of that.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Erin Bush said something when she was hosting Andrea's show once, and she said that mediums and people who are sensitive and empaths, we just glow differently to spirits. And I've always found that to be the most succinct way I can describe it. I have never, my abilities really kind of kicked into overdrive last summer, and ever since they've evolved almost at breakneck speed. Like every day I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing now? Oh, okay, great. But there was a situation where I was watching a live event from the farmhouse, the Conjuring House, and a spirit from the farmhouse saw me or found me or what have you, and came to me and like was screaming in my face about this. They're not treating this like a home. This, you've got to stop this. You've got to stop this. And all I did was turn on a live, an event that was happening at the farmhouse, and the spirit came racing into my head, to the point where I was calling Andrea and Aaron in a panic because I didn't know what to do. I've never set foot on that property. I've never been to Rhode Island. Nothing. I just watched a live event, and
but you have connections to people who had been there.
Yes. So that's what Aaron and I are thinking, that this spirit, for whatever reason, it didn't go to Aaron and it didn't go to Andrea, but it came to me within 10 seconds of turning that live stream on. So I don't know, like it doesn't seem to matter. You know, like I said, through the internet, it was like the spirit was like, "Hey,
internet."
Talk to her, so she can't."
That place is intense. That place intense. Well, I'm going back again in I think May.
Yes,
we're going to be going there.
Saying.
Yeah, we're going back in May.
That's definitely a bucket list location. Aaron says it's really.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we were there and it's wild. Everybody left, and it was just like 4 of us left: me, Giuseppe, Lourdes, and Ron.
Yeah.
Which every time I say Lourdes or Ron, everybody has to take a drink now.
Oh, really?
I say so much. It's a drinking party.
Cheers.
Cheers. So we're in the kitchen area, and we're sitting there, and Ron has his radio, his ITC stuff going, and we're listening to it and everything, and all of a sudden we hear the bed upstairs bouncing. We're the only ones there. Yeah, you know, it was really wild. You hear walking upstairs, you hear talking, and it's wild. And even the land outside, you see things from tree to tree and shadow. It's like really crazy. So
I can't.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, I can't wait. We were gonna plan an event for September and decided to table that. Yeah. But it's still on my list. It's still on my list to see, and it's interesting because, like you said, it's a very intense place, and it's not like any haunted location else in the world, because the spirits there will screw with you. They will run you off if they feel like you're being disrespectful. And I've heard so many stories of people that have gone there to do an investigation, or they were there for an event, or they were whatever, and they were like trying to goad the spirits, or they were trying to antagonize them, or they were trying to, you know, be ridiculous and stupid or whatever, disrespectful, and they would be run off. Or I think Jacqueline shared a news article from up in Rhode Island about how a group of teenagers hopped in the car at 2:00 in the morning with the intent of sneaking onto the property of the Conjuring House, and they got into an accident. Like, I don't believe in coincidences, and so I feel like
there isn't one. That's why.
Exactly. So I really feel like the spirits there are on a whole entire other level. Like, they have things in their gift shop that say, if you fuck with us, we'll fuck with you. The spirits. I mean, I've never heard of any other place like it. So,
well, there actually is. Look at Robert the Doll. You go
to
the Maritime Museum, you have to ask to take his picture.
Yeah.
Or he screws with you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Or you have to send an apology letter.
Or you have to write a letter, and the museum has hundreds of thousands of letters that people have sent apologizing.
Yes,
to Robert the
they
Doll.
do.
Yeah, for sure. It's just common, you know, it's just common courtesy, really. And a lot of people, these people don't believe in it. They don't believe that you know, they just, until they, you know, have that run of bad luck, and then think maybe there is something to it.
Yeah.
It could go either way. It could be coincidence, or it could be something. So when it comes to that, there's always a skeptic saying, it's coincidence. And then you got somebody that's really a diehard paranormal guy. No, it's paranormal. So you always take things, especially something like that, which could be coincidence, as a paranormal investigator. You want to believe it's something, but you know it may not be. So you put it on the shelf. You don't use it as evidence. You put it on the shelf. You know.
Sure.
So yeah.
Why tempt fate? Like tempting fate is not the best thing for you. If you already know that all these things have happened to all these people, just do it. Just be cautious about it. And I mean, spirits are people too. They're just no longer living.
They don't have a body.
Yeah, don't mess with them. Be kind. It's not that difficult. But then again, there are people that are really unkind to everyone, so they're going to be the assholes.
Yeah, life, death, it doesn't matter. There is always going to be somebody that's got a bad reputation following wherever.
Correct.
Wherever they go.
So the last time we actually did something, like you said, we seen each other at Gettysburg, but we actually went to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum with us. Remember, on the third floor?
Wait, were you staying there? You too?
We had checked in with new patients. Yeah.
Yeah, we were there, and they fit me with this new jacket that actually ties to itself. Yeah. And they put me in a nice soft room. It was great. It was cushions on the wall and everything. So yeah, it was nice.
Get a lobotomy. This is sounding very true.
Yeah. No,
that's why I talk this way. I had a lobotomy, you know?
Yeah. Trans-Allegheny is the best. We had a really great time. It was the first time that I got to meet Anthony and Giuseppe and Teresa. It was a lot of people that I had wanted to meet. We finally got together. There was like 20 of us.
It was a lot.
We had the best time. And it was the second time that Chris and Audra and I had investigated Trans-Allegheny. This time we had the entire place to ourselves.
That was awesome.
It must have been amazing. What kind of evidence?
I got so much stuff. I got stuff thrown at me. I was on your podcast. We talked about it. Me and Scott Riddick.
Yeah. So much stuff
Yeah.
That between everybody, I'm actually still going through some evidence, like just hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. One of the crazy things that Southern Entities captured, Chris had an EVP recorder going in the lobotomy ward on the first floor. And he captured, nobody was down there at the time because it's a huge building. The main building is like 135,000 square feet over 4 floors. So nobody was in this area at the time, but Chris's EVP recorder captured the sound of metal banging on metal and then a woman screaming.
Ooh.
Which I'm sure most people know, but the way lobotomies were performed was they would take a metal pick, put it in your eye, and then hammer it
right through the
metal hammer. To this day, it's still one of the most disturbing pieces of evidence
that is, and that place is awesome. I tell you right now, all the places I've been to, that is the one. That is because I've been to West Virginia Penitentiary and stuff. I still say Trans-Allegheny was the most haunted place I've been to.
Really?
And I've been to. I mean, Hinsdale's number 2. Well, I love Hinsdale.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we're going back there this year too. I can't wait for that one.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, Trans-Allegheny. That was like. As soon as you walk, you could feel things. You're walking towards the building. There's people. You could not people, but you look in the window and something's looking at you. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. And the one area I walked, I was there by myself.
Yes,
and I got all that stuff. Yeah. I walked around the place. There was an area they just opened up to the public, but it's not fixed up and everything. And I went there by myself. And I had that little 2-inch screen there, and I got so much stuff there. So yeah, that was an awesome location.
It is.
There might be someone later on I'll come across that's more haunted, but
so far that seems to think. I tend to think I haven't been to West Virginia Penitentiary yet. That's one that we're planning for 2023.
That's supposed to be terrifying.
Yes, that is. Yes,
I've been there a couple of times too. That's an awesome location. You never been there?
No, nope. I am really looking forward to it. St. Albans Sanatorium is another one that I didn't love at all.
Yeah, I didn't go there yet.
Yeah, that one, we went to that one in March of last year, and this was before my abilities really took off. So I can only imagine what that place would be like for me now.
Just protect yourself before you go.
Yeah, for sure. It's very uncomfortable, but that whole entire place, not just the building, but the land it's all just soaked in blood and horrible, awful, bad energy from the get-go. So it's not surprising it's super haunted, but it's so uncomfortable. It's just such an uncomfortable place. And a lot of that, if you know the story of St. Albans, a lot of that is, what is it? Laura's always calling it power of suggestion. You know the bad things that happen there if you study the history, and which you should always do before you go to a location, unless you're a medium that wants to just kind of check it out beforehand and see if you're correct, which is fine. But for paranormal investigators, it's always highly recommended that you do your research and you do it well.
I believe that. Yes.
You can't not remember the horrible things that went on in this particular building and on this land. It's just it's the site of the Draper's Meadow massacre, and then they built a school for boys on it, and then that was a horrible place, and then it was a sanitarium and a mental asylum, and there's just nothing heartwarming or good about any part of that place, and it feels that way when you walk in. It's gross. It's gross, but it is a paranormal goldmine, really.
You just went over to England, and I know you went on vacation. I know you probably went on some investigations over there, haven't you?
We unfortunately we didn't. We did have. So Laura and I went to.
Harry, I'm so disappointed.
We went to London and Paris, but we had her 9-year-old son and her 12-year-old niece with us.
Oh,
so we didn't have the opportunity to investigate, but we did do. We went to Versailles. We went to Versailles. We went to the Paris catacombs.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, that place was amazing. And
it's just skulls and everything there still? Or?
Yes, 1.6 million people are buried down there. It's 130 feet below street level. And it's very, if you suffer from claustrophobia, this probably isn't the best place for you to go, because the ceilings are really low, and it's kind of, there's one way in and there's one way out. So once you're down there, there's no like, I'm going to take the emergency exit. There isn't one. You've got to go all the way to the end, which is about a mile.
Wow.
Nothing but bodies, just stacked, bones stacked on top of each other. And one of my abilities is
hi Katie.
Oh, hi Katie.
Katie's the busiest woman on the planet.
Right?
Boo, Katie. Everybody loves Katie.
Yes, I have heard absolutely nothing but beautiful things about Katie and Steve. So so Paris catacombs, they're like people from like the 1300s and, are buried down there. So one of my abilities is the gift of psychometry, where I can touch an object and I can get a flash of like what that object, like where that object was found or who was associated with it or what have you. Well, they don't want you touching the bones down there. Nope. Obviously they are actual human remains. They don't want you touching them. It's just, but me, because I'm me,
you can't keep your hands off it.
Yeah, no. I just one for real quick. I touched the skull.
You're like that kid. Do not touch. Do not touch. Okay. Touch it anyway.
That's me too.
So I did. I put my fingertips on one of the skulls and got the vision that it was a female plague victim. And I happened to see the moment of her death. And the final breath she took, I smelled it. It was I ripped my hand off of it, like it burned me. And Laura's like, "What did you see?" And I'm like, "The plague victim. Let's just leave it at that and get out of here." I was huge mistake. I wanted to see if I get anything, and careful what you wish for, because
you gotta be careful, especially if you have abilities you can read. You touch something, you're gonna see it. And I hate when that happens. It's like it just gets chill. It's like a chill that goes in you. It's like, it's wild.
Yeah.
I drove through the like the Battle of Bull Run area, and I was asleep at the time in the back seat, and I had asked my aunt and uncle not to go that way, and they forgot on the way home from dinner.
Ooh.
And I had fallen asleep, and immediately, like, I felt like I had a bullet go through my forehead. I shot up, and I felt like I was going to throw up, and I asked them to pull the car over, and I saw this man's face form in front of me, and he looked like he was a Confederate general or something.
Yeah.
He explained exactly what he looked like, and I started feeling everything that the men felt that were dying at the time.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, please write these names down. And I was starting to rattle off names, and it was like the muster roll of the people who had died, and we had looked them up, and they were all there.
Wow.
It was crazy. And like, I had never been asleep when something like that happened and like just shut up, but it felt like a bullet went right through my forehead and right out the back. And when it, the entry wound is smaller than the exit, it felt the whole back of my head had been blown wide open.
That is wild.
It's nuts. I've done readings for people where like my left arm was freezing cold, and it felt like I couldn't even move it. I had to pick my arm up with my other hand. And I was talking to this man on the phone, and I'm like, so what happened to your left arm? Did you pinch a nerve, or was the nerve damaged or something like that? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm a truck driver, and I got my arm like wedged in something.
Wow.
So it was the nerve that was damaged, and he has no function of his left arm at all. And as soon as I said that, the feeling came back. My arm even changed color. It got a little bit like pinker. And I was able to move again. It's the weirdest thing when you have that.
It so really is. Yeah, it really is. And I see Ron's asked a question. Carrie, do you think we are all born with gifts, and do gifts develop over time and or magnify after a traumatic event?
I do.
I think we are all born with gifts. I think that certainly after a traumatic event, they can either show themselves or magnify. I know so many people where that has been the case. I think they can develop over time, but I also have known a number of people that have them and don't want them and do anything they can to kind of
avoid it,
kind of squelch them, kind of try to shut them out. I think that I don't think that certain people are predisposed to it. I think we all have the ability to do it. It's just simply a matter of a lot of it is, our upbringing. If you typically, if you are raised in a home where, it's not very maybe spiritual, but they don't necessarily believe in ghosts or what have you, like a lot of that has a lot to do with it. And that maybe you're just going to ignore those abilities or not even like think about them or try to grow them over time. So I think that certainly plays a part in abilities developing later on in life. But yeah, I really do think that we all have it in us, whether we want it or not. And some people are good at ignoring it. Some people are good at embracing it. And some people just don't care one way or the other. You know what I mean? So.
See, as an investigator, before when she said she had that thing and it felt like her head's breaking, your response was, cool. That's a paranormal investigator. That's how we do it. It's like I got scratched, punched, pinched. Look, at Trans-Allegheny, I was being choked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, let's go. And I was like, let's keep on going. It's like I didn't want to stop. I'm here. I couldn't even breathe.
Yeah.
And something was choking me out. It's like, let's go. That's cool. That's cool. That's great. And we take that as a cool thing because we want to get the evidence. and we go in there and I mean, if it costs us to get hurt on anywhere, it's like I'm not talking about hospitalized. I'm talking about a scratch or something like that.
Yeah.
We're just to get the evidence. We're willing to sacrifice a little bit, I guess. I'm not getting our brains blown out, but if you feel something,
that had to be. But at the same time, like, there's so many aspects of the development and the growth and the evolution of my abilities that some of them are scary. Some of them are terrifying. Some of them are really sad. There's a lot of things that I know about people that I have no business knowing, and that I would never tell them I know. So it's kind of a mixed bag of a blessing and a curse, I think. It's not. It's not anything that I would ever want to lose. Theta Wave Blue Media asks, what are healthy ways to develop abilities? I think a big one is to talk to people that are going to support you. People that are not going to be like, oh, you're crazy. That's weird. That people that encourage you to learn about them. Yeah, exactly. People stay away from people.
Stay away.
Yeah. Because likely when you come into your abilities, you already feel like you're crazy.
Yeah. Or you're shunned as a kid.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say having one or two, you don't have to have a whole group, just one or two people that support you, that believe you. That's so important, that believe you.
Yeah, that are kind to you.
That are kind to you about it, that are understanding. That is really key. And then for me, I sought out, I wanted to learn. I wanted to take classes. And so I spoke to my friends that were mediums and asked them for their recommendations, and just sort of like reached out and started I took a couple of classes from Cindy Keza, and she's
good.
Really, she was really wonderful. And it was very helpful to be in a class with other people like me that were new to it. So I think those are the healthiest ways to develop your abilities. And then just a friend of mine is just coming into her abilities as well. And
it's scary.
She's struggling with telling people, like her husband and her friend.
Oh, that's
sad. Because they don't believe in it. They just don't believe in it.
It's so weird because it's like 2023.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was the black sheep. My mother was very, I wouldn't say she was super religious, but she was like, all right, Sunday church, get out of bed. You're not lazy. This is get dressed. And if you're not in the car, I'm leaving you. You better show up after me. You have to walk. But I was like, then I'll stay in bed. I'd feel weird going to church. It was really bizarre for me to be there because I didn't feel right. And being that young, that's strange. When you're like 7 and you don't feel right being in a place that you were always at.
Yeah.
That's odd, So the more and more, like, I got older and older, and I felt really, really weird. And I would tell her that, and she's like, you're just being lazy. Get up and get dressed. So finally I was like, you know what? I'm digging my heels in. I'm not doing it. I'm not going. And she's like, well, you're going to feel my wrath when I get home. And I was like, what, are you going to make me vacuum? Like, what are you going to do? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't fun. It really wasn't. And then finally she was like, well, I can't ground you. You live by yourself. I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do with you, Maureen. And I was like,
how about nothing? How about you just leave me be?
Yeah, well, she didn't, because then it was, how about for my Christmas present, you come to church with me? And I was like, it's gonna freaking burst into flames. So what do you want? You want the fire department there? Like, I don't know what to tell you at this point. And then after she passed away, she came to visit and she was like, I'm sorry that I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was right.
Yeah.
It was the best moment of my life, I have to tell you. But my family was not happy, like, at all. They still are not about it. And then I was like, I'm throwing open the closet door. Here comes my freaking broom. Because guess what? I'm a witch. You know? Well, and they don't like that.
That is so much more helpful. That's a very healthy way to be like, to own it and be okay with it. And it may take you some time to get to a place where you even believe it yourself. Because in the beginning with me, I really thought I was going crazy. I really wasn't sure what was going on. And I didn't know if the information I was getting was legit or if I was just, that's it. Now I do need to go to Trans-Allegheny and check myself in, or, and then over time, it like little things would just get validated and I'd be like, oh, okay. I think the most important thing is that you surround yourself with people that will give you the ability to believe in yourself, right, and help you get out of your own way and just go with it. You can't control the information that you're getting and the way that you're getting it. And you can tell people, hey, this is what's coming through to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it makes sense to you. Maybe it doesn't right now. Maybe it will later. Maybe it never will. I can't help that. Yeah. This is what I have for you.
I don't understand how people can tell you that, you know, there's something wrong with you when you have the ability to tell them things in advance, or you know what's going on, or there's like, you can tell them who's calling next, or whatever the case may be. Like when I was little, I didn't connect with fairy princesses. I was connecting with, Mommy, can we get flying monkeys? Like that's what I wanted, flying monkeys as pets, not sea monkeys. You know, like, I wasn't the normal kid. Like I wanted to wear black all the time. I didn't want to wear pink.
Well, what's wrong with black?
Yeah.
So I wear.
I know,
proud, baby. Like
100%. Yeah.
Everything I have is like a ghost shirt, or it's black, or you know, dark gray. And Wednesday,
you and Laura will get along just fine because she is everything black. When we were picking out our merch, she's like, "You got to have everything in black.
Everything's black.
In black.
If it doesn't come in black, then it's going to be dark gray, charcoal."
Yeah, which I was black, like, okay, Laura, that's light black.
Charcoal,
yes.
Maybe some cheetah print for some accent, and a little bit of red, possibly.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's fierce.
She loves it. Yeah, she loves it.
But everything matches then too, so you don't have to worry about if you have to pack for something.
I know. She's like, first of all, Carrie, black is slimming.
It is.
And
you can jazz it up with some like cobalt shoes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
we have some people talking to us. We have some new people watching us too.
Yay! Hi, welcome, new people.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. You know, but like you said, with the Trans-Allegheny, we had a couple of good experiences there. Remember, didn't you have a ball roll? Was that you that had the ball rolling?
I think that was Donna and Jody and Lisa in Lily's room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, it was Lisa's room. Lisa's. Lisa, the little girl that was there?
Lily. Yeah, that's Lily.
Lily. Yeah, Lily's room. Because we went in there I mean, I went on the floor. I jumped on the floor here. It's, you know, I was trying to play with her and everything.
Yeah.
And the scariest part was watching me getting off the floor. I mean, I was like with my knees, my back and everything. It's like, why are you on the floor? And it's like, because I want to play, you know.
Right, exactly. And see that's what I do. That's a great thing about Lily. She's a very they believe she's a 9-year-old girl that was either the daughter of a patient or one of the nurses. But she died of pneumonia while she was there. So they've dedicated this room to Lily, and it's filled with toys and it's filled with dolls and balls and marbles, and it is kind of a hazard. It's got all this rolling stuff on the dark floor, but a lot of, if you just give it time, and I know that you guys must have spent quite a fair amount of time in her room.
Yeah.
She needs to kind of warm.
Chris.
She's one of those that needs to kind of warm up to you before she really starts to interact.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was Jody and Lisa and Donna that were.
They had the ball roll.
And had the ball rolling.
Because we went in there to try to react at it. It was me, Chris, and Audra.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm on the floor, and I have my camera there, and somebody stood in front of my camera, because nobody can see your camera in the dark. But I got the audio, and I'm like, don't be shy. And all of a sudden, somebody says in another voice, don't be shy. I got an EVP off the audio. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Did it sound like a child?
It sounded more like not a man, but like a I don't know. They said it because Chris said it maybe was one of the orderlies or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Repeating me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I picked up something else. I said, come here. I said, come here, sweetheart. Let's play. Don't be shy. I'm on the floor with all the dirt all over me and stuff. And then I get the audio saying, don't be shy. Don't be shy, like that. So that was pretty cool.
That I think
cool.
Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing.
That's an awesome place.
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking forward to go with you guys again. Going out with you guys again. You guys are an awesome group to go hang out with. It was like, what, 5 different teams there, something like that?
There was, yeah. We were kind of billing it as a para-unity group, and we had all investigated either like with each other at some point or whatever, but it was just a group of 5 teams that got together and just kind of, we shared, tips and tricks and forged really amazing friendships from it. And I love it. I want to, for sure, want to keep doing it throughout the years, and just at least try to do one big event every year,
Yeah.
So Waverly is it this year, or not Waverly?
Well, I had to buy all your friendships down there. I brought cannolis. Remember that?
Yes.
I bought fresh cannolis from Queens, and they're all down there like, oh. So I actually bought them to be friends with me.
Yeah.
To pay.
That's all it takes. If you want to be our friend, just give us a cannoli.
Feed them.
Just feed them.
Just feed somebody. Yeah, you feed them, they love you for life. It's like that dog. You feed him, and he follows you home. It's like, I'm that dog.
Yeah.
But I'm the one that feeds everybody.
Yeah. So, Maureen, somebody asked a question that I think is...
What are the philosophical ideals that witches identify with? So
that's a good question.
It is. It actually is. So there's witches, and then there's Wiccan. And Wiccan is actually the religion of quite a bit of witches, but I think that I'm not Wiccan. I don't follow being part of a coven, and I don't follow the Wiccan religion. I call myself a witch, but I take from a lot of different religions the beautiful parts of many of them. Okay. And I feel like there can be Christian witches, there can be Buddhist witches. The Wiccan religion is somewhat different, and I believe that they, you could say Hecate or Hecate, and they follow that with Diana. But I like the Wiccan views, but I kind of, I'm a rebel, and I don't like organized anything. I don't like organized.
I can tell that about you can tell that
religion or organized education, or I kind of like to do my own thing, and I like to take bits and pieces of each thing and put it together. So I don't believe in God. I think that there can be many. So I kind of like take a little bit about each of the religions that I love the most, and I kind of put it together, and I celebrate different things. And I think the one thing that is the best part of the Wiccan religion is that witches follow do no harm. and they celebrate nature. So animals and leaves and trees and the ground, and even if it's winter and it looks ugly, there's still beauty behind it.
Yeah.
So if you're watching the winter, even though the trees look brown and dirty and disgusting and there's snow on the ground, you'll still see the birds coming out, and you'll see like the red and the cardinals and the blue jays, and you still hear them sing, and there may be something that's popping up through the ground. So I really love that you can look past all of the darkness. And when people say, it's so bad, I don't go by bad or good. I go by positive and negative and perception and intention. Okay. Somebody may be doing something that sounds bad or negative, but what's the purpose behind it? What's the intention behind it? Is it that they're robbing a convenience store because they have to feed their family? And, COVID struck them pretty hard, and they just, they have babies. Is that the reason behind it? There could be a very good reason behind it. And I don't think that it's necessarily the case that everyone should go out and rob a convenience store because, they're starving. But if that's their last resort, maybe that is the thing that they should be doing at that moment, because I really don't think anybody should be starving in this world. Hi, Aaron. But I think that everybody should look more into the reason why things are happening than, just shoot somebody in the face because that's what's happening at that moment.
Yeah.
But the philosophical ideals behind it, everything revolves around as above, so below, and perception and intention, and, do no harm. That's what I follow. And I think that the best way to do that, and we've been taught this since we were little kids, the golden rule, straight up.
Right.
Now, if someone does something to me, I will rip your face off. Straight up.
That's my phone.
Now that you bothered me with your phone.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, my son's calling me.
My family and my friends are very dear to me. And if someone, they come first. If somebody does something to me, I'm like, big deal. But if somebody hurts my friends and my family, that's very personal to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all like that. Certainly, like the three of us, because I know Anthony, and I'm getting to know you really well. And that's just, I think most people, I'm not going to do, I have no time for, and I am not going to ask a whole lot of questions if somebody hurts my mother or puts her in any kind of danger, or same with my son. I'm sorry, I'll have to, fuck you up, and then, maybe ask questions later. But no, I'm not going to. And it's not just my family, but it's anybody that might be in a weaker position or in a vulnerable position that might be, either being attacked or unfairly treated, or, whatever, maybe can't defend themselves. As strongly as
I
can.
About the underdog. And, disabled people, elderly people, women, children.
Yeah.
Disabled, anyone that is like the weaker link there.
Yeah. And I think that being silent and just standing by and watching it happen is just as bad as whoever's doing it to the person.
Yeah. When I heard the story about the subway where everyone stood back and watched a woman be raped publicly, I was so in disbelief over that no one stopped to help her or got involved. I don't care if you have a gun, a knife, whatever. I'm somebody I'd get involved.
Yeah.
And I don't care if anybody says to me, well, you weren't there for the situation. I really don't care, because I am someone who will always get involved. All of our animals are rescue animals except one.
Yeah.
All of them. I will always get involved. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if I put myself in danger. I'm not going to stand back and watch somebody else get hurt. No, I don't care if it's someone I dislike.
Yeah. I mean, we are all here. we are all here having a human experience. We are all here to whatever, whether, you know, we believe in God, whether we don't, whether we're Wiccan, whether we're witches, whether we're, you know, whatever. We are all here having a human experience, and we need to kind of look out for each other. And that's just that's woefully missing in so many facets of so many people's lives. But yeah, we've got to look out for each other.
And Katie's right, spay and neuter.
Spay and neuter. Yes.
We have some new people. We have Valentina is new. Hi, thank you for joining us. There was somebody else earlier.
Where are you seeing all this? Where are you guys?
How long have you been on this show?
I'm on with Katie right now and Ron.
Well, if you scroll up, then you would see it.
Okay, I gotta scroll up. It's not like you scroll.
Ada Wave Blue Media. We have Norm. We have Aaron. Katie's our forever friend in here. There was somebody else that I saw something else.
There's Facebook user, but I'm not sure who that is. That's how I always show up on Entity Voices. Facebook.
You know what? If somebody's watching from Facebook, their name.
Yeah, so you always show up in there.
Yeah.
Carol showed up earlier. DM Piswick, Jeff, David. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm missing somebody. I don't know. All
Hope
the
you're
Facebook
enjoying
users,
yourself, guys.
thanks for being here. And our usuals are here too. Oofy didn't show up yet. And Oofy, thank you. Oh, Andy's here too. Andy, Bobby. If you get the joke, Ricky and Mike. Oh, Oofy is here. Carol. Andy, thank you for helping too also. I appreciate you guys. You, Oofy. They helped with some stuff for the show background and
neat.
The website and the links. So yeah, they're lovelies. I thank you guys. Iris. What do you mean
show up?
Well, you're here, aren't you? David, yes, you're here too. Thank you. And I am smiling. I've smiled a lot in the show, I think. I'm not like a big smiler, I guess. Am I not a smiler?
I don't know. I think you smile.
I don't smile like Carrie. Carrie's like like a Muppet.
I know. She's like, this is me all excited. This is how I look.
Yeah, Anthony's thrilled right now. You can't tell, but look how happy he is.
Anthony looks like he works for the friggin' mob. All right, did I ruin that for you?
There's no such thing.
Is this still your secret?
Yeah.
No such thing.
So Ron had asked, Carrie, do you think direct experience on an investigation is better than research, or should we do our research first? As a paranormal investigator, before I'm anything else, before I'm a medium, before anything else, and because of my podcast, I am always going to fall on the side of do your research first.
I think it depends on the way you're going in. If you're going in as a psychic medium,
right?
But I think it's better if you're going into research or to like investigate. I think you have to know what you're walking into.
Yeah, and I've come across a lot of investigators that are not mediums that kind of fall on either side. They don't want to know the history of the location. They just want to see what evidence they capture and see if that falls in line with the history that they learn about later. But I think it's really important to do your research. I will always encourage everybody to do their research before they do a paranormal investigation. Simply because I feel like that helps you connect with the spirits better. If you understand what their situation was, then you can speak to them about that and you can say, hey, I heard this was your story. Tell me your story. What did you like about being here? What did you not like? Where did you work here? Did you, you kind of going in armed with knowledge is never going to be a bad thing. Now, I know a lot of mediums like to go into locations when they're doing a paranormal investigation, not knowing anything. They like to go in blind and just kind of see what comes to them. And that's totally fine.
A blank slate.
Slate. Yeah, exactly. And that's totally fine. I am not so far into my mediumship life that I want to be surprised like that. Maybe. I mean, maybe one day, but right now, no. So I think I will always advocate for doing your research first.
I believe that too. I believe with the research, because not only, you go in and you know what's going on. Like, I'm going to use an example, like in Gettysburg.
Yeah.
When you go in there and you're in the field, all right, you ask questions. You want EVPs. So you ask, what color is your uniform or your buttons? And I used to ask, what's on the button of your shirt or your uniform? Because each button on different uniforms mean different units.
Right. Yeah.
All right. The color of the uniform, it means different, especially the union. It means they're from different states or different towns. Like the ones for Brooklyn, they had red pants. But that's great to be in the war with red pants running in the woods, But it's like, your target right there. But you find out what they were wearing and stuff like that, and then you also, especially EVPs, you think outside the box. Yeah. And my friend Joe, the guy on my team that passed, Joey.
Yeah.
And he, one time we were in Gettysburg when the Peach Orchard, and I was on the side where the Union Army would be, and him and my son went out in the field, and they're running low, and I had like this gun, this cap gun, so it was like shoot the sparks out the front, so it looked like it was really shooting, because the muskets, when they shoot, they have that spark, and it was dark, it was really dark, and we only had the moon, that was the only light we had. And they were out in the field, and Joe's like, hey, to my son, want some chocolate? Want some chocolate? He got an EVP. Yeah, break me a piece. He got an EVP. They wanted, because back in the 1800s, chocolate is not like now. You get on the shelf for a couple of,
yeah.
Back then it was like a delicacy.
Was it a Kit Kat bar?
Yeah. You want to snap a Kit Kat bar?
What specifically was the chocolate you had?
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you don't, yeah.
Almond Joys. Okay.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah, I think
but
it kind of gives you not kind of a jumping off point where then you can have a baseline knowledge of the activity there, of who might be, the spirits that might be in that location, thereby just making it a little bit easier for you to conduct an investigation when you're asking, knowledgeable questions and saying, hey, you know what, this is, I heard you were, the teacher here or whatever. And, what was your favorite thing about teaching? What made you happiest? What was difficult about teaching? You can ask questions like they are humans, because they are human souls.
They were, yeah.
A lot of people that go into places that are like, if you're here, can you make a noise? And then they make a noise, and then you're like, can you make that noise again? Like, why would you? What? No, like
it takes them that effort to make that noise once. They're not going to do it again. Can you do that again? No, it took me 2 hours to get the energy just to do that. You're out of luck.
Yes, like you wouldn't speak to an actual living person that way. So I don't entirely see the point of speaking to the dead that way. But it's certainly how I investigated when I first started. I'll be honest with that. That's how I investigated in the beginning. Largely because that's sort of what some of the paranormal reality shows teach you to do. You know what I mean?
Just scream at them.
Right.
Yeah. What's your name? Can you tell me your name? How old are you? Did you know the day? You know, it's like these are questions that get asked a million times, and sometimes because they're spirits, they were human at one time. You get annoyed. It's like, I'm not going to answer you. Now if you got a question and like, whoa, like Joe, you want a piece of chocolate?
Yes.
And he got an EVP. He got an EVP response right after that.
Well, and especially like when you were in Lily's room and you were just talking to her as you would talk to a child. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. And that spirit, be it an orderly or whatever, was telling her, don't be shy. Like that's a purposeful interaction, I think. You know, I'm very fortunate because I was trained by four of the best people in the industry, Tony and Sherry Rathman and Chris Allgood and Audra Keeler. And I was trained in one of the most haunted locations in the country at Phelps Dodge Hospital. So it was I was fortunate in that because the four of them had relationships with the spirits in that hospital. So they didn't investigate like that. Like, can you make that knock? Can you do this? They investigated like they were talking to friends, basically, because they had spent so much time down there, so much time with the spirits. They developed relationships. And so I think that was a really good jumping off point in my paranormal investigative training, was being trained by them, because they weren't doing the canned, knock twice if you can hear me, or can you, they weren't doing any of that. So once I was, taken under their wing and really shown the proper way to do a paranormal investigation, everything changed for me. And
they are good.
The technique.
Amazing.
They really are.
They are good.
So,
yeah, I got to investigate with both teams, with both couples.
Yeah.
When they came to New York, Sherry and Tony, and down at Trans-Allegheny with Chris and Audra.
Yep.
And I spent so much time with them. They usually walked around. Probably most of the night was with them.
Yeah.
Towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris has a really, Chris doesn't like to carry a lot of equipment. I mean, he
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't like to carry a flashlight. That's about it. But honestly, of all the equipment that we had when we had Southern Entities, he was the best piece of equipment. He would be like, oh, this over here. And so then we would know where to like focus our energies and stuff like that. Well, like when we were on the 4th floor of Trans-Allegheny in the, I think it was the alcoholic rehabilitation ward. Is that where we were?
Down on the, yes. Yeah. Down that section. That's where he was.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the section where you had gotten into that coughing fit. Is that when
yes, because I came up with them, and that's when it felt like something was like strangling. But I did come from what's his name's room, the one that was killed, Dean's room. I just come and I tell Dean, if you want to touch somebody, touch me. And of course, I go up the stairs. The next thing, I'm being strangled.
Yeah. So yeah,
you asked really for it, Mister.
And well, there's that.
Yeah.
But Chris was up there. He knew where this thing was because it was trying to avoid him, because he could see it. He knew where it was. It was so Chris. No matter who he's investigating with or what he's doing, Chris is always one of the best pieces of equipment that a team will have. So, I've led a very, very fortunate life in this industry since I got into it 4 years ago. I've met the best of the best, and to be able to witness Ron and Lourdes do that direct radio voice when we were in Gettysburg. Oh my
God. Isn't that wild?
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
I want to be with them, and I want to have them there with that equipment. I would love to investigate with them.
It's so remarkable. It's so remarkable. It's absolutely going to change the face of paranormal investigation.
I said it's going to be great when we a couple of years from now, when that thing can be bought, it's going to be like being in your house and you could pick up the phone and go, "Hi, Grandma." You know, like you could just call wherever.
Yeah.
It's
if anybody could do is them, is Ron Lourdes, Tony. You know, if they could, if anybody could do it, it's those guys.
Oh, yeah.
To get that working like that.
1,000%.
Yeah, I'm going to be with Ron and Lourdes and Giuseppe this weekend. We were invited to the Ritz Theater down in Horton, yes. New Jersey.
Yeah.
So we're going to be down there doing that. They're doing a documentary on the theater, so they asked us to be part of it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's
talented people. I mean, they all have their own little thing, but then they all work really well together at the same time. So it's just amazing to see them.
It really is. It really is. Direct radio voice, I have to admit, when we first started doing it, because it was at Gettysburg and we were in one of the ballrooms late at night, and we were doing it, and it was almost like, do you remember those old Magic Eye posters where you had to kind of look at it from a different angle, and it would like before the image would just sort of pop out of the picture? Those that's kind of what direct radio voice felt like for Laura and I, anyway, is like listening to it, because it's a lot of little, like, it's almost like listening to a bunch of conversations at the same time until once you can pick out what they're saying, then from then on you can pick it out. But it took Laura and I about 20 minutes. We were like, I don't hear it. I hear things, but I don't hear things. Like, it took us a while to really kind of understand how to listen to it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you have to train your ear to listen to it. Yeah, because I've been doing with them a long time. He just got new programs and new stuff. It's even clearer now. You got to hear the new stuff.
Oh God, I would love to.
It's unbelievable. He's having whole conversations and phrases, and it's unbelievable the stuff that he's doing. Matter of fact, his third book is coming out now.
It is.
It's going to be coming out soon.
That little overachiever, Laura and I are barely halfway through writing our first book, and he's like, third one coming right up.
He's almost done writing his fourth one already.
Oh, come on, Ron.
I swear.
I started to put together a children's book series, and it's like, I don't want to give too much away, but it's about manners and how to treat people and ethics and morals and values, and there will be monsters in it.
Good. I think that's adorable.
So I think that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Ufi asked if there are any places that are haunted by Vikings. Do you want to know in the United States or just anywhere? Because like Norway, Sweden, all of those places, they are definitely haunted by Vikings. And I don't know if people know
I like Vikings.
But
yeah, I'm assuming anywhere overseas and stuff like that, because the Vikings did take over a lot. Now over here, maybe in Nova Scotia or up that area in Canada, because there's evidence that the Vikings were there, but nothing that I know of. And if there is, I would love to go.
Well, I don't think people realize this, but the Vikings overtook Ireland, and that's why the Irish people had red hair. So Vikings would be found in Ireland because the Irish are Viking.
Aaron,
the Vikings took over a lot. They took over. I mean, they're all the way down to Italy. They did a lot of stuff when they were around. The conquests, everything.
Kind of got around. Aaron, you said there's a Viking in Johnny Zappa's museum, like an actual Viking, or
York,
or parts of like a Viking.
York was a Viking settlement. What York? York where?
Andy's from the UK.
There's Yorks all over. There's England, all that stuff too.
Andy's from the UK, so I think he's talking about York in the UK.
York, okay.
Cool.
She said a
York.
spirit.
So I'm from New York. Hey.
There's a Viking spirit in Johnny Zavis's museum.
So a Viking spirit probably took over like a doll or something because they have all those items.
England, yeah, okay. Andy's from England.
I love it.
That's just awesome. Matter of fact, let's say hello to England.
I got
we're broadcasting in the UK. Now. We're broadcasting in the UK.
Yes.
Hello.
I love England.
Andy, the original York. I believe. Okay, Andy, you got me.
Aaron said
the original York.
As a download of info, Julie Griffin was seeing him. We both started talking at about the same time. Oh, that's really cool.
Telling you, man, these things pop into your head out of nowhere.
Yeah, they do. And when people ask like how you get your information, I always explain it as like if you're talking to yourself and you're trying to figure out what to make for dinner, and you're like, maybe chicken, steak. If it takes too long, that's yourself talking. But if you get like quick information, like the name Benedict, and it comes in really quick, that means that it's a spirit speaking through you.
Yeah, that's a really good explanation of it. That's
or
probably
like
one of the best. Yeah, I may actually use that because a lot of people ask me that, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just there.
And you may use that.
Yeah, it's like a rush of information.
It is.
Exactly. Yeah.
With all that information you're getting, and you should, just to let you know, you're starting out with this, and you're starting. You got to make sure you know how to shut down too, and take a break from it, because as you get into it more and more and more, it gets very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I didn't learn to shut down until 2001. Right after we went down to it was October 31st. I went down to where the trade centers went down. We were at the wall, and I went down there with my friends, a bunch of Wiccans, and they wanted to do a prayer for the pagans because all the prayers for everybody else. So we went down there, and I'm not a pagan, but I went as a observer, as a guest.
Sure.
And when I got off the train, I got overwhelmed by voices and smells, and it was really bad. It was like being in a room, like like in a hall with everybody screaming at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I got off that train, that's all I heard. It was unbelievable. I felt nauseous. I was getting dizzy. Till we got to the wall, and they started their little ceremony, and they drank something, and they poured to the floor, and then they put salt around us. As soon as that salt stopped, everything shut off like a switch.
Wow,
it shut me down for 6 months after that. That's when I've learned how to shut myself off.
Wow.
Because after a while you get so overwhelmed. Because remember, when I was getting into all this, I was 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and going into 2000, you still couldn't talk about it as much as you can now.
No.
And I didn't have nobody to train from. Nobody in my family I had nobody to train from. I thought I was a loner most of the time. I seen stuff on TV, but you know what I mean? I did start my team in 96, but it was like, you have to learn to shut it down, because it can be overwhelming at times. And times you don't want to see, and stuff that you don't want to see, and stuff. I see one of my friends, Childs, who's passed, and then the child actually died the following year.
Yeah.
So I seen the forthcoming of that, and that disturbs me when it comes to children.
It
shuts me down. It shut me down a lot. I just, I don't do as much as I did, but
yeah, it's I only intentionally connect to spirit when I'm getting ready to do an investigation. But occasionally, I don't shut myself down all the way, and things do come through. Either it'll be like, so I just ended a job. I was a seasonal driver, personal vehicle driver for UPS. and we would deliver until like 8 o'clock at night before the Christmas season. And so I would be driving in neighborhoods like it's in the complete pitch black, nothing but my headlights, and I would see shadow figures coming out of the trees, and I'd be like, oh God, not now, guys, please, not now. I just want to get this package delivered. But it would be, so sometimes I see it when I'm not expecting to. Sometimes I hear them and they come and talk to me when I'm not expecting it to. But I'm okay with it. And generally, when I tell them, hey, not now, then they back off.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you just tell them, like, I'm only open from like Monday to Friday from 2 to 4, right. No toilets, no bathroom, like no shower, no sex, no whatever. Not when I'm naked. They'll listen. Lay your groundwork.
Yeah. You know what?
Put a schedule on the wall. You only can see me at these hours.
They will listen. I'm telling you, they will.
They do. Well, so far they have. I have had one, and Aaron knows what I'm talking about, that didn't actually give a tiny rat's ass what I was doing. He wanted to talk, and by God, I was going to talk to him. So, but generally, yeah, they don't, the shadow figures when you're not expecting it is a little jarring. But once I realized what it was, I was like, not now, guys.
Yeah. I had the one that I had was like a mouth breather.
Have you seen any animals?
Curvy.
No, I haven't seen animals yet. Nothing with animals yet.
No.
I've seen 2.
Okay, wait till you're driving. When you're driving, you see a deer pop out in front of you, and it's not there. Yeah. I had that going upstate with my uncle, yeah. God, and I swerved, and he's like, what? And I actually seen the deer's face go right through my car. And I was like, holy shit. And my uncle's like, what happened? You fall asleep? I said, no. That was wild. He just popped out, and I had a little Toyota at that time, and I'm driving, and I got stick shift, and I'm driving, and it was like all you see was the headlights and nothing back here, and all of a sudden you see this. It's like, oh shit! And I swerved, and then I swerved back, and as I swerved, you could still see the head. I'm like, oh no! And I was like, did I hit it? What happened? I was like, and I wasn't about to stop because you couldn't see nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And if I did hit that thing, it would have totaled my car. But yeah, wait till you start.
Yeah, if it had been, no.
Like I said, I had nobody to talk to about that stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen any animals or anything yet. But like I said, this my abilities are evolving rather quickly. To the point where in the beginning I would be so rattled, and I would start to cry when like something new happened. Like I could hear them, or I started to be able to see them. In fact, that happened on the drive to Gettysburg. And it would be so jarring and upsetting for me. I would cry, and my mother would be like, it's okay, we'll get it figured out. Now when a new ability shows up, I'm like, oh, welcome to the party. Is this what we're doing now? Fine, that's fine, whatever.
You could always call me on that too. I know it's like it's hard to share. I mean, anybody in the audience too, if they had starting to come out with this stuff, just contact me, message me on Facebook, and we'll talk. Because I know it's scary, very scary when you first started, and you have nobody, and you actually, like you said, for years I thought I was not, I thought it was crazy, but I didn't think everybody else was normal, and I wasn't as good as them. And, I was always like, felt myself down here, and they were always up here. And
that's another thing. Yeah.
And I couldn't share nothing to nobody because I always had people putting me down. And, it was a different era too. And there was nobody you could talk to about it.
Yeah. A vastly different era. That was the other thing too, that I was finding that I was getting not necessarily frustrated with, but a little upset because I didn't know the vast like spectrum of abilities that I had, and the ones that I did know, I didn't know how to control them. or exactly how they worked for me. So I remember going on investigations with Chris, who has had these abilities his whole life, and being like, well, Chris is like, well, this and that, and there's one there, and there's one here, and there's this guy saying this, and I'm like, well, it's not working for me like that. Why isn't it working for me like that? Until I finally just had a moment where one of them was like, because you're not Chris. It's going to work different. It works differently for everybody. It was only when I accepted that and stopped being like, well, my abilities aren't like his or like hers or like theirs. Like, what's wrong with me?
You got your own.
Yes, exactly. And it wasn't until I just accepted that and finally started listening to my own abilities instead of watching what Chris can do and being upset that I couldn't do what Chris could do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a whole life-changing thing. And I have a lot of people that wish they could have any or all of the clairs. I certainly always thought that people that could do it, the Cindy Cases of the world and the Chris Allgoods of the world, were so cool, and how amazing that must be to have those gifts. And then I got them, and I remember grieving the loss of who I used to be. That the person that I was last year is not, she's not gone, but I don't she's different now. And I sometimes I miss not having them, but I don't want to lose them either. It's really, it's a kind of a conundrum, honestly, because like you said, Anthony, sometimes you have information that you don't want to have, like about that child. And you don't want to have that information, especially if it's something about somebody that you know, somebody that you love, or somebody that they love. That's not something that like you're ever going to tell them that you know this. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, there's certain things, that information that I get that I just have to take to my grave with me. I can't ever share it because it would serve no purpose other than to hurt whoever, you know.
You're very torn because you want to tell someone something because it may help them, but then it may completely rip your relationship apart. They may not believe you. You don't know. I gave someone a piece of information about their child once because it was going to save their life. And you would think that they would say thank you. I didn't get a response back at all.
Yeah.
And I kept getting this vision over and over and over and over and over. And it was a specific weekend, and I could tell by what was around. And it truly was going to cause the child's death. And I thought, do I tell them? Do I say anything? It's a very difficult situation. And I thought, I'm going to cast a line. I'm going to say it because I really wished that if somebody had this information about one of my children, I would want to know about it. I don't care if I look like the biggest kook on the planet. They know what I do for a living. They knew about it all along. They were fine with it. They were even in my house, and they were using something, some type of machinery, and it got shut off all the way across the room. So they freaked out, and they were like, I'm never come back here again. But they came back, and they were like, I need to ask you questions. They were very involved, and I told them, and I didn't get a thank you, a screw you, an F off, nothing. Like,
it's difficult.
And that kind of broke my heart because they called me mom, like, never saw them again.
Yeah, it's a completely different, and I would not want to go back to who I was before I had these abilities. As difficult as it's been difficult for my mother to watch me go through it. Especially when I struggled in the beginning. It's been difficult for my son to hear that I can do these things, because he wants nothing to do with the paranormal. He couldn't care less.
Guess
and he
what?
doesn't
It's
believe
coming. Because he's going to have stronger abilities than you. And
My youngest son's like that.
Yeah, he doesn't give a crap. He designed our logo for the podcast, and that's as far as it went. He's like, and I had to pay him for this. I was like, I'll buy you a video game and order you a pizza if you design our logo. And he's like, all right. So
a video game and pizza is more money than if you actually hired somebody.
1,000%, yes. So yeah, he doesn't. But so I just didn't feel right not telling him. He's 21. It's not like he's 10 years old or anything. Like he's 21 years old. But that was very difficult. But I would not trade it for anything in the world. Now that I know how to use it and how it works for me, and it's ever evolving, but that's okay. I love it. I love being connected to spirit in such a tangible way.
Yeah.
That I would never ever trade this for anything in the world. As hard as it's been, and as hard as it will be, I would never ever in a million years want to give it up, ever.
It's so weird, because once you get a feel for what's happening and it all comes together in a different way, like this happened for me the same way it happened for you. But I mean, I've had ability since I was really little, but I wasn't really, it didn't connect for me. Like I wasn't really paying attention because my life was really, really difficult growing up. So I was kind of like, I'm dealing with this. I don't have time for this.
Oh, yeah.
So when I got really sick, it was kind of like my spirit guides kicking me in the ass going, listen, you need to pay attention. And I wouldn't. So then they would kick me harder. And I was like, look, I'm really not available right now. And then they kicked me so hard, I was just on the ground and I was like flailing around like this non-breathing fish, just going, And then finally I was like, all right, what the hell do you want? And they were like, well, now you're sick. You're paying attention, aren't you? And then I was dealing with two things. And I was like, all right, well, I've always been interested in this. What the hell do you want? And they're like, that's what it took. Okay, now what?
I think a lot of, I'm sorry. I was reading Andy Morrow's comment about his car broke down in the middle of the road. He saw something white beside him and the horse scared him. But I think that's a lot of us, even whether it's our spirit guides trying to teach us a lesson or just life trying to teach us a lesson. I am always going to learn a lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Since I was like 5 years old. That's just, I don't know if that is just, my stubbornness or
that's me too.
Heart.
Are you a Cancer, by the way?
No, I'm an Aquarian. Okay. So I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it's infuriating it's been infuriating to my mother, and it was my grandmother and my teachers and, ex-boyfriends, and like I'm just not gonna learn the lesson the easy way, certainly not the first time. I like to do it 5 or 6 times and have it end really badly before I actually learn anything.
Yeah. But I think that's with and I always tell people, you could have the worst tragedy happen and it may seem like this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Why? And you're crying and sobbing at that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people do this, because people be like, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And like, what could ever come out of this?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us who are in tune with ourselves, later you're like, and this beautiful thing came from it.
Yes. And I think, but I don't, and I don't necessarily think that you have to have any kind of like, stronger empathic abilities or, sensitive abilities. Hopefully, any sort of bad thing that happens to somebody in their life, hopefully they will have the presence of mind once they get through it to realize that something beautiful came out of it, if something did, or maybe they learned something valuable from it. but I just think it's sort of a lot of, I'm not going to say in general human nature, but a lot of humans' natures to, you know, go about things the hard way and have to, you know, learn things once or twice or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times.
Sometimes it takes us a while.
Sometimes it takes us a while. And you know what? Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's okay. Maybe the first time the lesson was taught, it wasn't taught the way they learned. Maybe, you know, it could be any number of reasons. Yeah. How do we get on this topic?
We always learn by our mistakes anyway. I mean,
that's the best way I learn.
You got to learn by your mistakes. If you don't, you know, there's something wrong with you. You know, hey.
And you're likely going to.
You know, you're a little student now. If you don't learn, I mean, okay, maybe do it 4 or 5 times, but you eventually will learn from it. You know, and that's the whole thing. You got to, you know, you will experience things that, you know, go wrong, or you make the wrong decisions or wrong errors. So we always learn, especially in the paranormal field. Nobody knows everything. Everybody has to learn something every day. I've been in it since I was 13 years old. You know, I've been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
Every time I go, I learn something new. You know, it doesn't matter if the person's in for like a month or doing the paranormal. There's always a new way of thinking something. You know, there's a new way of coming up with something, and you know, always learning something new. And we learn by our mistakes, and you know, especially I know as a paranormal investigator, you're always learning something new. And to be able to see things during investigation, that's another plus. You know where to head yourself. You do. I mean, when I was in Gettysburg, I've been going to Gettysburg so long. I'm in 2008. I was there with a group. And we went on those little tours, and you know, they took us by the battlefield and stuff. And I'm telling everybody, take pictures by that tree. There's something by that tree. And we got a picture that looks like something going up the tree, like a light going up the tree, and in the tree it's like flashing lights.
Whoa!
And it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool picture, you know. And it was like, whoa, that's cool. That's very cool, you know? Yeah. And I got a bunch of pictures everywhere we went. I said, take pictures here. And I think I shown some on some of the other shows. But you got a couple of pictures, and it's always good to have that ability to go and say, take pictures here, take pictures there. You know, and
everywhere I go, I
get evidence, go in there.
Yeah.
You go in that corner. They go over there. That's activity there. There's activity. So it's always good to have that little bit of, you know, psychic ability or mediumship or whatever that I consider myself. I don't know if I'm a medium. You know, I'm usually an extra large, a double X these days. But, you know, when you go on an investigation, it's, you know, always good to have some sort of ability. And I consider myself like a sensitive, you know. You know, I could see things, and now I also, well, I've been doing it. When I see things, I draw it, and I have a bunch of things.
That's cool.
Which there's actually in that Vich Theater that I'm going to this weekend. Yeah. Well, in April, they're actually doing a show with me and Richard Michella.
Oh, okay.
And Michello, I hope I'm saying his name right. I destroy people's names all the time. Yeah, you know, hey, Michelle, yeah, but he's good. He's an author and everything, and he actually sits there and, you know, he does, you know, reads people, and he draws the person's face, and he's always pretty dead on. Yeah, he's pretty dead on. So they're doing a show without pictures at that
really
place.
Cool.
Ufi wants to know, does anyone have experience channeling or viewing creatures of the Pleistocene? So is it channeling or viewing creatures of the Pleistocene, or is it channeling or viewing creatures of the Pleistocene? So I've channeled, but not channeled creatures of the Pleistocene, because I think it'd be very strange if I was crawling around acting like a dinosaur. However, I have channeled before. David said, this is very educational. Great work, guys. Thanks, David. I appreciate that so much. So someone did tell me that it was one of our guests. And I think he talked about this, Brett Karstens. Didn't he say that he looked down and he saw dinosaurs?
Which guess? I don't remember that guess. Was I here?
No, wait. That was the show before you. We're on show 11. That was show 4, and you came in at show 5. So, Oofy, do you remember this when Brett was with us and he was talking about looking down and he saw dinosaurs, and I asked him if he thought that was a past life regression, because I had a past life regression where I saw myself in lace-up boots with the princess heels and a hoop skirt, and I looked around and I was in like old London.
That's my weekend.
I was literally going to make a stripper joke, but never mind.
That's my weekend. Hey,
princess heels, madam. That would be like stripper shoes, and I would definitely not be in a hoop skirt. I'd be in a G-string on a pole. But he said he didn't think it was that he was a caveman, like a Neanderthal, a caveman, or whatever you want to call them. He thought that he was looking down from a different perspective.
That's interesting. I've never heard of anybody that would been able to do that. I can channel. That's a new thing that I learned with the help of Aaron. You're
gonna have different stuff happen all the time.
But I can channel, but I'm certainly not anything but from this era.
Yeah, okay. I know people that actually like they were going down the street and all of a sudden everything's like back in the 20s.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, I know people that actually happened too.
Wow, that's interesting.
They confront me and they tell me that story. Since they know what I do, and and they listen to people's stories.
All of a sudden, I looked down, and my shoes and my clothing, it was all different. And then it happened when I got home after that same day, and I was walking up my stairs. The stairs changed, my clothing changed, my shoes changed. So I did a past life regression, and because I knew of that kind of stuff, I like kind of slipped the crack of time, and I went back and it told me my name, where I lived, what my wedding was like, my children's names, what kind of like work. I just did volunteer work, and it asked me questions because I did like a YouTube video of like a past life regression, and it says what is similar to your life now and what is different, and it makes you ask these questions in your head, and it tells you the whole thing. And when I was finished, I was like frantically going to Google my name because I knew it, and I was there online, which was so freaking cool. Like I saw my husband's name, my name, and I was in the UK.
That's crazy.
It is. So I found out because it showed me like the name of my estate, and it was Brandywine Estates. Since I saw that, everywhere I go, the word Brandywine is everywhere now. It's the weirdest thing. It's like when you buy a car and you hadn't seen that car before, and then all of a sudden you're driving it now and you see like that car everywhere you go. Now that I saw that term Brandywine, it's everywhere I go now, all over the place. Hi, Trinity.
That's really cool. I really, one of my friends that actually introduced me to Reiki.
Hey, Courtney.
She studies the Akashic records, and that's something that I've been wanting to do for years now. I love England. I love London specifically. I have been there twice, but I loved it before I even went to visit it, and I didn't ever know why. The Tower of London is one of my very favorite places in the world.
So were you locked inside?
No, I helped build it.
I would love to do an investigation there.
I helped build the Tower of London, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, okay, so then that makes sense, because I was like, obviously I love the history of the Tower of London. But for that,
you didn't lose your head over it, did you?
I didn't.
Oh my God, really?
No, I
Boom, boom.
was not one of Henry VIII's wives. But
Henry
there was
VIII,
so
I
much
am, I
more
am.
than that. There was so much more than that as to why I love that location so much. And so my friend, went and looked back at my past lives, and I helped build it. So I was like, okay, all right, that makes perfect sense. Why I would love this building that I had never seen before. And then I finally went to visit it, and I was like, I just love it here. Like, I could have stayed there forever.
Yes.
I could never explain it.
Wow.
And then I finally talked to her, and she finally told me that.
So I was told that
wow.
I was told about a couple lives, but I was told that because I was so interested in like the Globe Theater and Shakespeare and that time frame and like the costumery and whatever,
Sure. Yeah.
That because I was a mayor in this lifetime, I wanted to help the people out by becoming a politician. And I'm not like the typical politician. I'm very for the people, and I'm all about helping them and like kind of putting myself aside, and I'm willing to even suffer for what they want. I've always been in some form of a political role.
Oh, okay.
So I was told that
For
I
the
was
people,
actually
by the people.
Queen Elizabeth, and I didn't like what I was doing because I couldn't speak to the civilians. So because of that, I pulled myself way back, and I was taken out of that role. And It was so hard for me to be political after that, that it was like when I became mayor in this lifetime, it was really difficult for me to make that decision because I didn't want to be kind of away from the citizens.
Wow, that's cool. I don't know. I'm fascinated by all of it. I'm fascinated by all of it. I've got people that I've known my whole life in this life that I have lived about over 1,000 lifetimes with. I'm just fascinated by all of that. So I definitely in 2023 want to tiptoe into starting to learn how to study the Akashic records.
I think it's a great idea. And you can have more than one life at the same time. Yeah. If we were all in I was talking to someone else about this. If we were all in, say, a concert together, we'd all been in another type of experience like that before. So say we were in Rome and we were watching gladiators together in the Colosseum, which I think is really amazing. So we were all in this type of thing before as well. So the three of us were probably on stage, talking like this to an audience.
I do tend to think that that's true, that we just have these certain affinities for people, even if we've only met them like once or twice. I think that everybody is just sort of destined to intersect.
Yes.
And some, connections last longer than others. And, which I think is another really beautiful part of this human life we're all living together.
Yeah. And there are some people that just, connect and they automatically bond so quickly. So there must have been, a soulmate connection, whether it be a friend soulmate or, of a kin soulmate. So it's like, mother and father, or children or cousins, or, or a lover, or
there's an affinity there. There's an affinity there that can't be explained.
Yeah, it's so like I know sometimes I know things like, how did I know that? Right. Even like a young kid, I forgot somebody got hurt, and I'm like, here, I take out the first aid kit, I'm wrapping the person up, and I'm a young kid doing it. I'm like, how did I know that? How do I know these things? And some things you just, how do I know this? And you're coming up, and it's like I feel I came from past lives too, and I think some of the interest I have in life has something to do, past life. I feel like, with the Templars, I feel like I might have been during that era with them and stuff like that. Templars and Knights and stuff like that. I love all that stuff.
That is
even
so...
we talking about the Vikings. I mean, I'm so into that. The ships. I was always into that. I was always into their ships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When the show came on, I was like, oh, pretty good. They probably fabricate a lot of that show, but I thought it was so cool to like see, some of the stuff, and that I was always interested in stuff like that, and I feel that because of that, I feel that I had some past lives. I know a psychic told me one time. I was at a party. I think I might told Maureen this one. I was at a party with my brother, and I have. It was a party, and it was the people that were throwing the party were very big with psychics and stuff, and they had a bunch of psychics, but they were friends, and they weren't just there. They were just there because of the party. And I was walking out with my brother to get beer, getting beer, So we're going out. We're coming back with the beer, and a woman stops me. She goes, "In a past life, you were an Indian warrior, but you were killed on one of the biggest battles." And she goes, and she points to my chest, and I have a shirt on. She points to my chest, and you were whatever here, you got killed. This is how you died. Where she pointed, I actually have a birthmark in that spot.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, whoa, that's interesting, because you couldn't see my chest in that spot. I have, and it's like right by my heart, and I have a birthmark right there, and it's a nice size birthmark,
Oh my God!
So that could have been from a bullet or an arrow.
An arrow.
Or something.
It could have been almost anything, because I'm so into, I like the Native American cultures and stuff like that, and I'm very big with wolves and stuff like that. And
you are, yeah.
So, and I was always into that too. So when she said that, I'm like, that's interesting.
That's
because I have tattoos. I had, at the time, my tattoo was covered too. I have a tattoo of an Indian chief's head on my arm.
Oh, okay.
So that was covered. Everything was covered up, so she couldn't see it.
Yeah, and there's no way she said that. Any idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting how she just pulled me out of the crowd, and I was just passing her, walking by with a beer. Excuse me, and she goes, and then she told me that, and I was like, wow. And I said, why did I get killed on the first battle? I must not have been a very good warrior,
I love it. That's amazing.
We probably have maybe one. We have a little bit of time for one more thing. Ufi says, what experiences have you had for which you had no context for what you were perceiving? I think for me, when I'm doing readings and I'll get a name or something and I'm not sure what it means, but I'll tell the person and I'll say, what does this mean to you? And they'll tell me what that means. And then it'll like bounce back and forth until we get what it is.
Sure. Yeah.
What about you guys?
It was when actually in one of the classes that I had taken with Cindy Keza, she had us break off into pairs and just kind of try to get like in touch with one of our loved ones' spirits. So I was working with my partner, and I was getting a pressure on my chest, and that it was a female member of her family. But it was like a really tense pressure on my chest, but I was also getting the feeling of grief, heartbreak. So I told my partner this, and she said, she's like, I know exactly who that is. She's like, that's my grandmother. And she died in her sleep of a heart attack. And at the time that she died, she was really heartbroken because she'd had a very terrible falling out with a member of our family that she was very close with. And I was like, whoa. So I think that was one of the first instances of that, where I like you said, I had no context of what I was perceiving. And that was the whole purpose of the exercise, right? So the fact that I like just one right after the other nailed it, I really kind of blew me away. And like with paranormal investigating, your first piece of evidence, you just want more and more and more. So
yeah, it gets addicting after a while.
It does. Yeah. Same thing with being validated. That will never get old for any medium. I don't care what they say. It'll never stop getting. Never. So
never.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I see. There's a question about asking the spirit, "What is love?" What is love? Love is a secondhand emotion.
I was going to say, "What is love?"
Baby, don't hurt me.
What am I feeling? Wait,
no, I never asked that question.
No, but
next
that's
time
a good one to ask.
That's the good question. I will ask that question.
Me too.
That is a very good question.
For sure.
We'll try it, Ulfi. Definitely try it.
We had some really good stuff to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
These 2 hours went by so fast.
You know what? I think some people think that 2 hours can be really long and tedious and boring, but I don't know. We have some really good topics, and I think it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I always have a great time just even chatting with you guys, like just, not even like on a show, just like having a conversation with you guys. So
there's literally so much to talk about.
So much. So much.
You got another 2 hours? You got another 2 hours?
I do.
Let's go.
You know what? Stick around, guys. We're going to make this a 4 hour.
Stick around.
Well, somebody's on at 10. So, oh God, Andy.
Oh, bummer. Thank you.
What happened?
Great show, people.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, cool.
Vampires. David
You're
wants
welcome.
to talk about vampires. He wants to know if they're real, and I told him that was our first show, and I would send him information on that. So we had
vampires.
We had my very good friend Molly, who's an archaeologist, on, and we talked about, are vampires real? And we came to the point where we said that, like, we talked about the burial plots of people who either had their legs broken and crossed, their head was between their legs, all of those things. So we do know that people like Father Sebastian, he's a vampire, and the people who own Vamp Fangs, Ben and Lex, they're vampires. They have a vampire culture. So are they really vampires? I think there are vampires that use blood as like an energy thing. So yeah, I think that there are vampires, but
not like Dracula.
Yeah, I don't think that is the case. I think
Brad Pitt's
isn't it a religion?
No, Lestat, no. It could be considered a religion.
Well, Dracula, vampire with drinking, but isn't it's a religion now too?
Venus says rituals, and I do believe that it is a ritualistic thing, mostly used in like sexual rituals. And they will admit to that, and they do have their own culture. David, what do you think? I mean, you're bringing it up. That's
pretty cool.
I think it is a cool.
Brad Pitt is stupid.
Brad Pitt is
a very pretty stupid.
Brad Pitt.
As my grandson says, stupid. God, he's the cutest thing.
It's so pretty being stupid. It's fine. Stupid.
Well, I'm not a Brad Pitt fan. I gotta say,
so pretty.
No.
Well, I just like him.
I mean, he's not Jason.
I don't care. I don't. I don't know if he's pretty or not. Yeah, that's not my style. But I like a couple of his movies now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about Brad Pitt for so long? We're giving him too much.
Let's talk more about Jason Momoa. I mean, if we're gonna.
Well, because you talk about vampires, and he was in Interview with a Vampire.
Let's not talk about that woman that wrote that, because that's not a fan. I'm not a fan of hers either. Let's move on. Tom Cruise, even worse though. No, we're not going to talk about him either. Pretty sure they were boinking on the set. There might have been some vampirism there.
I love that. That's freaking hysterical.
That's funny.
David still has not weighed in on what he thinks about vampires. He brought it up, and now he's going to walk
He was
away.
cruising the pit.
No, we've got 40 seconds left.
Well, we can actually run a little late. We have to be off before 10 because I think, is it Bobby that has his show next? We just can't run into the next show. Anyone else? Venus has a lot to say about the celebs.
Right?
Lunch.
Would you rather have lunch with a friend, a spirit, an alien, a cartoon? Ooh, that's a tough one.
I would rather have lunch with a spirit, and I want that spirit to be my grandmother.
That's a good one. I like that. I know who
I'll have lunch. I'll take lunch with anybody who's going to pay.
You're so easy.
I mean, you're going to pay for food. Hey, why not?
Listen, you're my work husband. You're supposed to be buying.
Hey, we're in 2023. Does not work no more.
Right.
I never said women's equality.
2023. Right. If I do something, I'm doing it wrong. Hey, that's it.
Oofy said, "Aw, Carrie, love," and Ron said, "Roger Rabbit." Venus said, "Spar with Thor would be fun." Ooh, that would be fun. Thank you for a great show, Carrie, Anthony, and Maureen. Thank you for watching, Oofy. We really are
thank you,
pleased
Oofy.
to have you with us. All right, so here's my choice. You ready for this one?
Yes, go.
I would love to have lunch with the spirit of Abraham Lincoln.
That's interesting. I like that.
Okay.
He's my favorite president because he was really intelligent.
Don't do it in the theater. Stay away from the theaters.
Listen, I didn't say it was going to be in the damn theater. They didn't have food there. Come on. He would already be dead also. But I think he was very intelligent and way ahead of his time. And that was my choice.
I like it. That's a good choice.
And he was a vampire hunter.
Good job. Yeah. He hunted vampires.
So that's my choice, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay.
Love it.
Like I said, I'll go. Anybody's going to feed me, I'll go.
Oh my God, you really are the easiest person on the planet.
Right?
You know what I mean? The alien, I don't care. You're alien, werewolf, Frankenstein. You're going to pay. Hey, I'll go hang out.
Mothman. It doesn't matter.
Mothman. Don't matter. Don't matter.
Slapping will make all the napkins go away. So, it just depends on the lunch too, maybe. I saw that it was a better vamp movie in my opinion. I really liked Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It was a really cool movie and great fight scenes. Too many elixirs.
I know, and I'm running out. I'm out of my elixir, so.
Well, that's a tragedy, actually.
I can't even say that word. Elixirs. I can't say that word
either. You really need
I
to
can't spell it.
Spelling.
I can't spell it. I can't say it. People ask me, I said, Incantations and they're like, what? Elixirs.
You seriously
I'm like, I can't say that word.
No, you can't. I'm going to start proofreading you very shortly with a red pen.
Right.
He needs help. So, anyone else?
Any other questions?
Otherwise, we'll announce next. Otherwise, we'll announce next week's, and then we'll sign off for the evening.
Well, let her, if she wants to tell, what you're doing and your show and everything that you're doing too.
Well, that's what we always do. So
shameless plug.
You know what I mean?
Always, always, my friend.
No, it's not here. We don't call it shameless because it's part of the deal.
Gotcha.
Just give it. It's not shameless here. Just say it.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. The podcast is we're going on a little mini paranormal convention tour. So we are going to be vendors at Mansfield Parapsychon at Ohio State Reformatory in May. Awesome. So we're really excited about that. A lot of wonderful guests are going to be there. Our friend Andrea Perrin is going to be there. And it's our first major paranormal convention that we're doing. So we're doing that. We're going to be doing Carolina's Con in 2 weeks later in Charlotte. And then I think we're going to try to get on with the Globe Paracon in April. And then there's something else. And then I think we're going to try to do the Vulture City Paracon in Wickenburg in October. So we're pretty excited about that.
Cool.
We're going to be vendors at all of those Paracons. Come on out and see us. We have a lot of really cool things planned for our booth that I attribute entirely to Laura because it was her brilliant idea. But we're going to be recording some ghost stories from the road and interviewing folks that come up to our booth about, paranormal experiences that they've had. And we're going to compile all of that together in special episodes of the show. So she's awesome. Brilliant. I love Laura. And then
we miss her. We miss it tonight.
I will tell her. She and her son are gallivanting up around the Four Corners area of Arizona and Utah and Colorado and Mexico. So, and then I've got my new online store with my mom and my son. It's called Round of a Paws Shop. We sell pet care essentials, and we are actually in the midst of our grand opening week. We have 10% off select items. So come to Round of a Paws Shop. It's ROUNDOFAPPAWSSHOPPE.com. And we've got 10% off of our, like I said, select items. Shipping is always free. It doesn't matter how much. It doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter. Thank you. It doesn't matter. Shipping is always free, no matter to anywhere. It's free everywhere. And I really want to stress that.
Even UK.
Like you can find anything there.
Yeah, it's all really cool stuff.
UK and anywhere.
Yeah, we are constantly stocking the store. In fact, we're getting ready to launch a holiday collection, and you can dress your fur babies up in the cutest Valentine's Day stuff. So that's going to be coming up maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday. It depends on how quick when I can get to update the store content. But come on over, check us out. And by shopping with us, you help us support Pets for Vets, which is a wonderful program that pairs trained rescue animals with our nation's military veterans. So for more information on that, you can check out our Pets for Vets page on our website. And that's it. Also, I do art stuff. And if you have a painting or a commission you want done, check me out at wordsarehardartistry.com.
You didn't have to do that in one breath because we still have time.
We're not rushing.
I love you.
As the thought came in my head, it had to come out of my mouth. Yeah. So
well, I'm glad it came out of your mouth and not somewhere else.
It's just how I talk. The thoughts come in and then I just spit them all out as fast as I can.
Tell Mom we said hello too.
I will.
Yes,
I met her in Gettysburg. She's a sweet woman.
Yes,
very nice.
She asks about you a lot. How's Anthony doing?
I love her. She's the coolest lady, and she's so supportive. It's awesome. And please,
that's great.
We're so sorry she couldn't be with us, but I'm glad she's having fun.
Yes, I absolutely will. Yeah, she's having a good time. Her and her son. It's just been the holidays, everything's chaotic, and she's a single mom, and so she wanted to make sure that before Zane went back to school, that they had a really great vacation, just the two of them. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. You guys spend time with the kiddies.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Because before you know it, they're like my son, and he's gonna be 22 next month, and it's like, where did the time go? So
my son's moved out. I got it's just my wife and my oldest son. My oldest son is autistic, so he's home. He's 30. Yeah. So that's just the three of us. And I have my other two sons. One's getting married. He moved out, and the other one moved to his own apartment. So it's like and before you know it, they're out the door. So
before you know it, they're out the door. Yeah, exactly. So it's important to spend time with them, especially because she and I are working so many different jobs because we both work for the same company and lost our jobs last year. So we're trying to work so many different jobs just to try to replace some of that income. So it's a lot of being away from home and a lot of, But yeah, Laura's the best. So check us out, History of a Haunting podcast. We are also on YouTube, and you can find us everywhere that you listen to podcasts. So new episodes.
It's a good show. It's a very good show. I like the one with Ed Gein.
Oh,
that was one of my favorites. Ed Gein.
Ed Gein. Yeah, we love to cover the ones where like there's like a serial killer. Like
a good serial killer. Come on.
I know. Yeah.
You know I'm into serial killers because we're doing that documentary on that one that I'm not going to get too much detail, but yeah. We're working that documentary on the one in Long Island, so but that's serial killers are always interesting.
Yeah, 2023 will be a great year for all of us. I just know it. A lot of new adventures, a lot of new learning opportunities, and a lot of, meeting new people. Like, I'm already loving your audience. I'm like, these guys are so much fun. So yeah, 2023, I hope it's a better year for all of us, because 2022 wasn't the greatest. Like, there was a lot of loss and sadness. And I think
I'm not going to brag, but I had a decent year.
That's good. That's wonderful.
Listen, shut up over there.
Knock wood. Knock wood.
Shut up over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2023 has already started off great. You have a new business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Well, so
yeah,
far.
We're doing good. We're doing good things.
Good.
So I'm grateful. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. I know that Maureen, you and I have been talking about it for a while, and then honestly everything kind of like rolled out of my head with the holidays and all this other,
I was like, what do you mean you got Carrie to say yes? I've talked to her myself and I didn't hear from her. What the hell?
She's like,
to be perfectly honest, when Anthony asked, I was like, oh yes.
You like him better than you like me, I know.
He's prettier. I'm sorry.
You see,
he's got more hair.
Look, I'm smiling.
See, he's smiling.
I'm smiling too.
It's the cheeks.
I keep my head down during the show. See?
Oh, good. Thank you. See?
I smile better.
You do. You're so pretty.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you.
So okay, so we're getting late and we talk a lot. So
we are a chatty bunch, aren't we?
We are. We will literally.
I told her once you get in the show, it's like we're never gonna stop, all of us.
Yep.
Because we all talk.
I have to remember that this goes the opposite way. This one doesn't shut up, and he will talk until the cows come home. Yeah. We'll probably talk for another 3 hours after this. Anyway, it's like the Brady Bunch.
Right? Yeah.
So, ready for our announcement for next week?
Yes.
Next Thursday. What is next Thursday? The 12th.
Next Thursday.
Our guest is, love it, bet y'all hoot at the gatherings. Oh my God. We are probably the worst people to have. Carrie had my husband in stitches at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and we were in a very mellow
panel.
Carrie is something to get drunk. So this Gettysburg Battlefield Bash is going to be interesting, I think, now that we're all wonderful friends and it's like family.
Unfortunately, Laura and I are not going to Gettysburg.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm stuck with her by ourselves. I'm stuck with them.
I can unfriend you very quickly.
Go ahead. We'll be a first person.
It's going to be tough when we have to share a table, mister. I could be very stoic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I could be very loud.
Okay, next week's guest.
Ready for this? It's a good one. Does anyone here know the teacher, the evidential psychic medium from Discovery Plus and the Travel Channel, Scotty Davis?
Oh.
The medium.
Scotty the medium.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from New Jersey.
Very cool. Yay.
So you better be here next week because he's ready for you guys.
Yay. Nice.
He's another talker, so we're gonna have a good show.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
You have a good show. That's the thing.
So our guests are fantastic people.
Yes.
They have to deal with us.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody. Wow, I can't believe, everybody that's on here. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, guys.
Thank you.
Your audience is fabulous.
We love you. Tell everyone hello. Good luck with your business. We'll keep promoting it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you have pets, if you know people that have pets, if you ever thought about getting a pet, we don't sell pets, but we sell stuff for them. So come on and check us out.
Sounds great.
Nice,
we will absolutely do that.
Right.
We wish you the best.
Thank you so much. Love you guys.
If you want to put your stuff on my Facebook page, help yourself.
Yeah, you can put your stuff on mine too. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We love you very much.
No problem.
Love you guys too.
And this is Incantations and Elixirs, where conversation meets cocktails. I am Maureen Grodzinski. This was Carrie Hopper, and we have
Anthony Simonelli. Forget about it.
Forget about
Mr. Cannoli.
Mr. Cannoli. That's what they call me in West Virginia.
We will see you next week, and Happy New Year. Thanks for reminding me, Venus.
Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody.
And we will see you
next
week.
Good night over the pond.
Good night over the pond to our UK friends. Cheerio.